Hey, let's talk about a new lens. Hey, welcome to another video. I don't necessarily want to say that this is a review because I haven't had the lens long enough. I've only had it for, I think, just over a week. I've taken it out 2 or 3 times. I can't say I'm comfortable with it because it takes a while to learn a new lens. What is it? It's the Thypoch 28mm F1.4 Shimoda lens that they've now released for the Z system. First of all, the packaging comes in a nice box. I mean, the presentation is well done. Slides off. Open the box, and inside you get a little card with the certificate of quality, and it actually has the person's name on it who approved it. That's a nice little touch. So the packaging, I think, is well done. It comes with, your front hood, your back, of course. And it also comes with a metal hood. And what I like about the metal hood, which a lot of manufacturers don't do, again, it's a nice little touch. It has a cover for the metal hood. So not only do you get a cover for the hood, you have a cover for the front of the lens. So I think that's a nice touch as well. It feels like it's all metal, at least as far as the base of the lens. It feels like a nice hefty lens. It's 368 grams or 0.8 pounds. So it's not very lightweight, but keep in mind it's an F1.4 lens. Has 11 elements and 7 groups for the people who are interested in that kind of thing. And yes, this was made for the Z mount. I know they make it for the M mount. That's been out for a while. I'm not sure. I think they might make it for the Sony mount. They make different lenses for a Fuji mount. I think they make this for the Fuji as well. But this one here in particular is a Z mount because if you follow my channel, you know I'm a Nikon shooter. The front filter size is 49 millimeters. So the construction on it is well done. The focusing is very smooth. It compares with my Voigtlander lenses as far as how nice this manual focus feels. It has a little notch here where you're focusing, you can put your thumb on it. That again is a nice touch that you don't see on a lot of lenses, but it's a nice touch. The other thing it has, it will lock in place for your aperture. Now it's f1.4 to f16. Up until f6, you get 1/3 stops all the way down to your f1.4. Once you get to f6, you get 2 stops to f8. And then it goes 1 stop to f11, 1 stop to f16. But down in here, you get 3 stops. The other thing it does, it has a little lock on it. From what I'm told, this is more for video shooters, so that your aperture ring can either change smoothly, or if you change the lock, the aperture will lock in place. Again, nice little feature. So the touches on it are very nice. And lastly, I don't know how well you can see it from here. If you do zone focusing, a lot because it's a 28mm lens, and a lot of people are going to do street photography, and it's going to lend itself to zone focusing. It doesn't necessarily have zone focusing on these on the ring here that you would normally see. What it has, you can't really see it, but there are little orange dots in here. And as you change your aperture, it will fill in the dots. And then you, on your orange scale here, then you look and see, okay, at F1.4, there's hardly any dots. And so your depth of field is very shallow, as opposed to F16, all the orange dots are going to fill in. I don't use it that much, at least so far, but I can see where, again, it's something different. And it is something nice, I think, to have. And so as far as the build quality, this is, for the money, it's a very nice lens. Voigtlander has a 28mm lens. I think it's an F1.5. You can correct me if I'm wrong. It's a relatively new addition to their line. I don't have it. I almost bought that instead of taking a look at this, but I got, if I decide to keep it, I got such a good price on this. It was almost half the cost of the Voigtlander. So I took the chance on this. I can compare in size because I don't have the other 28. I can't show you size to size, and I can't really go out and take images and show you the differences. There are a couple of people on YouTube who have done that. So if you want to see actual samples, the difference between the Thypoch Samara and the Voigtlander 28, there are a couple of videos that will show you the difference. And I noticed, because I have been taking, this is the Voigtlander 50 F2 Apo, and there's the size comparison. They're pretty similar in size. Now, this is a 50mm f2. This is a 28 1.4. But just so you can get an idea of size, they're pretty similar. And again, the construction, the build quality feels pretty much the same between the two lenses. There's not a big difference. Yesterday I went out and I used the 50 and the 75 Nikon 1.5, as well as this 28mm 1.4 from Thypoch. The differences are, now again, I'm not comparing apples to apples because one's a 28mm, one's a 50, one's a 75. I get that. However, in the colors, the Thypoch will give you a little bit warmer colors. This will give you cooler, a little bit more blues, a little bit more browns, more sepia. This is a brighter lens. Even the 75 to me seemed to be a little bit brighter lens than this in comparing them. But again, I didn't have the 28 to the 28. But I can tell this will give you a little bit more of a warm tone than the Voigtlanders do. And even though I love the bokeh on that Voigtlander, on the 50 and the 75, again, I can't compare the 28 to the 28. The bokeh, I think, is a hair creamier on this. Now, this has, I believe, 14 aperture blades, so you do get a nice rounded ball. I don't have a good sample image to show you yet. So again, that's why I say this isn't really a review. It's more of an initial reaction to this lens. 28mm is not an easy focal length to learn. And that's why I wanted to use this for a little bit. This is more of a storytelling lens. You tell a story a little bit easier than you do with a 50. Even though you can with a 50, obviously, people do it all the time. Some of the great street photographers have used 50mm lenses. I get that. But because of the wider view and the difference in the depth of field that you get, the 28s are tougher to learn how to use, I think, in my opinion. I think a lot of people will tell you that. This one here is an example I just took yesterday. And you can see what I'm talking about. It's just my grandson sitting in his playroom. It tells more of a story than this one here, which was taken on the 50. different types of lenses. I originally wanted to see because my wife and I are taking a trip to Europe next year, and one of the places we're going is Venice. And I think on a full frame camera, this will look really nice in places like Venice, on those alleyways and even in different parts of Europe where you've got the narrow alleyways, but especially with the canals and all. That's why I wanted to use this lens and see if it's something that I might want to use on that trip. Of course, I'm going to take my Nikon 24-120 because to me, that's the ultimate travel lens. As long as you want to carry it around, as far as on the Nikon Z system, that 24-120, for my money, in my opinion, is the ultimate travel lens. That's the one to get. However, if you want to travel a little bit lighter and you want to take a prime or two, I'm looking to maybe reduce the weight of my kit on certain days. That's another reason for a lens like this. Let's talk about a couple of drawbacks, things that I don't particularly like about this lens. One is minor, one is not so minor. And that is, I don't know why they did this. It's a black lens other than, the white lettering and the orange, but it has a silver ring around the front. I don't know why they did it that way. I wish it was black. Again, it's a minor thing, but personally I just wish it was all black. The larger drawback compared to the Voigtlanders and compared to Tamron or some of the other third-party manufacturers that go on the Z system, there's no contacts. The camera doesn't really talk to the lens. I found a way where it does to a certain extent, and I know most, if not all, the Nikon mirrorless, and I think even some of the DSLRs, I'm sure that I had set up my D750, my D850 at the time, for it to find even the Voigtlander lenses back in the day, and that you can go in and manually set up that lens and tell it it's 28 millimeter or whatever it is. So you do get some of your metadata, but the difference between the Voigtlanders and this lens is when I'm in focus, that green little square that you're trying to focus on, or that little box, will turn green when the camera finds the lens being in focus. This will not do that. Now you can use focus peaking. So let's say you're doing landscapes and you're at F8. You can do focus peaking. And again, I've set it up so that when I attach this now to the Z8, and I haven't set it up to the Z7II yet, but I will, it will now say, okay, it's the Thypoch lens, it's 28 millimeter. It will, in the metadata, give you the ISO, I believe. I mean, I've seen it, and I've seen the shutter speed. It will not give you the aperture. So you do get some of your metadata, but not all of it. With the Voigtlanders, and that was one of the big reasons why I was going to stick with the Voigtlander, is I like having that focus, and I like having the metadata. Is it worth double the price based on what I got this for what a new Voigtlander was going to cost me? Probably not. But you need to know that. That's the big difference between the Voigtlanders and the Thypochs, at least so far. The Thypochs do not have the contacts to directly speak to the Z cameras, to the Z camera bodies. Might be important to you, might not. Now, one way around that is, on one of my function buttons, I can just hit it and it'll zoom in 100%, and then I can find focus on the eye or whatever I'm going to focus on. I've done that, and that'll work. And the other thing I found is that even though it's a manual focus lens, and this isn't a drawback, it's just the way it is, if you're going to shoot manual focus, you can set it up and say, all right, I'm going to shoot it at f11, and yeah, it's 28 millimeter, but I go out and I find a heron and I'm at f11. Well, I know I've got a lot of depth of field, And when that bird takes off, I got news for you. You might be able to get a better capture rate with this manual focus lens than you can with an autofocus lens. Because unless you're really tapped on, and even then when that bird takes off, sometimes you lose the eye. This, you're already there. And yeah, you can set the autofocus up for the same F11, F10, whatever you're going to do. It's just different. It's a different experience. And so, even though it's 28 millimeter, you can still shoot wildlife with this. Granted, they're far away. I get it. There are a couple of herons that will get me semi-close to where it doesn't look like they're 3 miles away when they take off. But you can use this. I have done it. Overall, my first impressions are, it's a very good value. This lens, this 28 millimeter 1.4 Samara Thypoch lens, is a very good value. Right now, they have it at B&H or wherever you're going to buy your lenses from at $549. When it came out for the Nikon Z, I believe it was $899. So I don't know, or maybe it was $799, I'm not sure. So I don't know if that $549 is just a sale for a period of time or not. Now I got that as an open box, so I paid even less than that. And I have a 30-day return policy on it. It'll probably stay with me and stay in my kit, because so far my initial reactions are, if I can learn to use it properly, it's a really good lens. I'll tell you when I like something and when I don't. I mean, I made a video and said that this Voigtlander 50 f2 Apo is probably my favorite lens. It's not the one I use the most, but I love this lens. I mean, I absolutely love it. I'll never get rid of it. If I can learn to use 28 millimeter, I can see where this lens will be in that same category because of the build quality and everything else. It is real close, right up there with my favorite lens. As far as the build quality and all, this really does compete with these Voigtlanders. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. Its initial reaction, again, it's not really a review because I haven't used it long enough. Once I get to use it, 6 months, if I keep it, and I'm tending that way, after maybe 6 months of using it, a year, whatever, then maybe I'll go back and really do a review on the strengths and weaknesses. Because especially something like a 28 millimeter lens, you can't take it out once or twice having not experienced 28 millimeter and think you're doing a review on a lens. You're just not. You're not doing it justice. But for now, for me, Thypoch 28 1.4 Samara, thumbs up. Thanks for watching. See you next time.